I was married for 16 years. And I had a guy in the office who said, "You're a bear, you're a bear, you're a bear," and I never heard of it. And gays like to subcategorize the gay culture, I suppose. So there are bears, there are twigs, there are clones, there are all sorts. And bears generally are usually bigger build men, usually hairy and bearded, who just happen to be gay.
I don't know. Bears, as I said, I think it's a mindset. Obviously, a beard helps. It's for guys who feel comfortable being bigger guys and who don't take themselves too seriously.
But I think for me, it's more about the weight and the bulk of a guy than the actual hair. I mean, I know a lot of bears that are completely smooth, they've got no hair.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I think it's kind of like the traditional kind of like, big blokey bear, grrr, wolf kind of guy. Cub bears and little baby bears.
Baby bears.
Yeah.
Baby bears. But they all come in all shapes and sizes.
The American bears tend to be more grizzly, bigger, stronger, less fat. They even call hairless, fat gays, what was it? Manatees. Manatees, that's what they refer to that. Is that fucking rude or what? So I'm a bear. A cub would be a much younger version. An otter is probably a much slimmer version, but still very hairy. And then there's a wolf, and I'm still not quite sure what a wolf is. Polar bears, daddies, so people who've got white beards and stuff. Chinese bears are pandas.
The gay scene is really known for a certain image. I'd say slim, very fit guys, very clean-shaven guys, very they're well dressed, well groomed, and looking a specific part. Metrosexuals that like to sleep with men. That's what I'd say. And I'd say the bear scene would be the opposite of that. Bears tend to like rugby, for example. They tend to like. They drink less cosmopolitans, more pints.
People used to look at me like a piece of shit on their shoe, really. They would come in and go, "What are you doing in here?" Because I was big, fat and hairy. But now in some of the bear clubs, they're getting really elitist, and they don't want to let anybody who isn't beary, who isn't bearded, who isn't masculine in. There's also a preconception that the beary, bearded, stronger guy is much more masculine and much more straight acting, whatever that means. Everybody says they're still stuck cocks, so that's not very straight acting anyway. But there are places where it's all this false masculinity, so very faux masculinity, and they're. But then when you see them talk, they're all "Let yourself live camp" and stuff.
At Bare Necessity, for example, I have a lot of the really big blokes who I would say probably suffered a lot under the old regime, where they might be in the corner of a club having a beer, really shy to actually engage in the club, and a little bit embarrassed of their body and just trying to keep to themselves. At Bare Necessity, they're in the middle of the dance floor with their tops off and their bellies are just like dancing away, and I think you can see they're like kids in a candy store. They're very excited to have this space, to have that is for them.
Whereas before, not very many people sported beards. Nowadays, because it's become fashionable in the straight crowd, and you've got all the hipsters wearing beards, etc. There now seems to be some sort of fusion and stuff, and confusion with the fusion about bears, etc.
The hipsters stole our look, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I think the gays always get in there first, don't we? We're always pioneering it.
Like, you could say that Shoreditch is like bear central, but they're just straight, you know what I mean? And it's been like that for years. I mean, when I moved to Shoreditch years ago, it was like walking around with my tongue out, but they were all straight. So, so that was a little bit confusing. And that is actually becoming even more confusing because they're looking kind of gayer. The straight boys are looking gayer and the gay boys are looking straighter.
Back in 2000 in Manchester, I entered the Mr. Bear Manchester contest, which I won. And then I entered the Mr. Bear UK contest that I won. And then they sent me to the Miss World of the Bears, which was Mr. Bear International in San Francisco. And it was about 2 years ago when I entered a competition at Vauxhall Tavern called Tavern's Got Talent, where I, for some reason, decided to dress up as a cow with a wonder bra, complete with udders, because most of the best songs are written for women. So I sung Big Blonde and Beautiful, and that won me the prize because it was so outrageous, because you've got the big hairy chest and the beard with a big pair of Wonder Bras and big huge tits in Wonder Bra.
It's been around all the time, but I think culturally now there's like a much more of a spotlight on it, and people are like really, you know, attaching themselves to the, you know, I'm a bear, or, you know, whatever that is about. It's more of a thing now than it's ever been, I think. One of the things that you get a lot of flack for as a promoter is, you know, are you an exclusive bears club? You know, are you only letting people in with bears? And I think, you know, for us, the overall vibe of that club is you've got to go in there and you know the reason you're there is because you want to be in a room full of sexy, hairy guys, whatever that might mean to you. So it's about trying to strike a balance with that. And, you know, we do want to get a reputation for having the best music, the sexiest guys, the best production, because, you know, that's our job in it, to create a fantastic party which everyone wants to be at. Next year is going to be even more incredible, you know, with the parties we're doing in London and then the parties we're going to be doing around the world.
And Dublin.
And Dublin.
When I first came out, when I was 34, I got some problems, but it was fairly smooth transition. But 2 years ago, when I said that I was going to start doing drag, it was just people, and a lot of my bear friends started to stop me and question, why are you doing this, and all that sort of stuff. And I got into more trouble for wanting to wear high heels and fishnets and makeup. They wanted to suck cock. It was like coming out all over again. Funnily enough, one thing that I do is I enhance my package. Right, drag queens tuck, right? But I put 500 grams of couscous in my underpants, because for a start, you're wearing 5 pairs of tights, right? So everything is completely squashed anyway in the first place. But again, when you see the image of me in a waistcoat and these tiny little shorts with a beard and everything, and it's quite striking. I have a lot of laughs during gigs doing that, because I refer to it a lot and tell people to stop, eyes up. This is a serious dramatic piece. Just stop looking at my bollocks and stuff. And one time, this guy was transfixed, and he was sat with his boyfriend, and I went, because I usually wear a radio mic so I can walk about, and I went to right to the table. He said, "Do you want to have a look? Do you really, really want to see it?" So I just took it out and put it on the side there next to his pint, and I said, "Don't smell it, because it's really sweaty."
This is actually a great way of actually breaking stereotype. You really can't tell who's gay and who's not gay just because somebody has a beard. And so yeah, this is the idea of bears, I think, to me.